here by 10. I want to make an announcement. I hope you can help me spread the word. We are having events around the city of Houston to assist students in filling out federal and state financial aid applications. We have this really catchy name, Houston Free Application for Federal Student Aid Day, which will be tomorrow. It's a partnership between area school districts, nonprofit organizations, and the city of Houston to provide assistance to students who want to fill out their free application for federal student aid, or FAFSA, or their Texas application for student financial aid, TASFA applications. And while a lot of parents can handle that at home, others have struggled with it, and there are students that may not have a lot of assistance from their parents to do this. So we want students who are qualified for financial aid and want to go to college to be able to get that financial aid. So, actually it's next Thursday. On Thursday, February 20th, 5 area school districts will partner with these community organizations. A lot of the events will be in the evening, but they should be conveniently located across the city. Residents can go to HoustonFAFSA.org, Houston, FAFSA Day.org, to find the dates and locations. The school districts that are partnering, and some of the locations may be at school district sites: Alief ISD, Galveston ISD, Houston ISD, Spring ISD, and Spring Branch ISD. And then community partners include Center for Houston's Future, Chinese Community Center, College Community Career, Houston A+ Challenge, Memorial Assistance Ministries, Project GRAD, and United Way of Greater Houston. We've been working for a while. In fact, Center for Houston's Future has been spearheading a program called My Degree Counts. We want those who are interested and can qualify for higher education to pursue higher education, whether that is a 4-year degree, a 2-year degree, or a professional certificate that they can use to find a job. Education matters, and so we're hoping that folks will apply. So, what do y'all have?
Any thoughts on the passage of the game room item today?
Yay! Step forward. It's still a head scratcher for me that the state of Texas gave the ability to regulate game rooms to the county instead of to the city, but so we quickly worked out an arrangement with the county, and I appreciate the work that they've done, and we're going to enforce, with their help, in areas that we haven't been able to before. Passed unanimously on council today.
Council members at the committee hearing yesterday raised some concerns that some of the HPD folks, acknowledge that even the current rules today are difficult to enforce. Is there any concern that we're adding a lot to the plate of the vice division that they may not be able to effectively implement the new rules?
We have a different type of tools for implementation, and one of the issues is that game rooms, the ownership changes hands. This way, because of the licensing, we'll be able to, anytime the ownership changes, we'll have another opportunity to intervene. That's one of the new benefits that we have. But specific questions, the city attorney standing over here can answer those. Anything else I would say today?
Yes, ma'am. I think one of the significant changes that the new regulations bring about is the prohibition against membership requirements. That has been the greatest stumbling block for HPD to get into the game room facilities, because obviously undercover cops aren't members of these game rooms. So by prohibiting the membership requirement, law enforcement is going to have far greater access than they've ever had before. That's going to be significant.
In your understanding, were those membership requirements put in with the intention of keeping police out? Is that essentially what it is?
Well, I can't read the criminal mind too well, so I think it speaks for itself.
A very general question. The city added about 500,000 acres to different MUDs, and I understand that that's a very routine matter, but what does that mean for possible obligations, or what does the city do differently as a result?
Obviously, we all know that in the state of Texas, cities have been allowed vast annexation abilities. We have not had a major annexation since 18 years ago, 17 years ago, we annexed the Kingwood area. But we do annex small slivers on our borders on a really almost routine basis. And it is the MUDs that come to the city of Houston, municipal utility districts, that knock on our door, and they have developed, they've fully built out, and they want us to take them over. When we do that, we take on the obligation for any debt those MUDs have, and so we do a careful analysis to ascertain whether the value of the property we're taking in will be offset by the liabilities that those property owners have for their MUD district, and so that's part of the calculation. Our goal is never to be underwater when we do it.
Thank you.
Mayor, there's been some question about whether the city has got a lack of paramedics in HFD. I just wanted to see, there's reports that one of the paramedic classes has been canceled. Just what do you think about this?
Well, as we discussed with council last week, fire department, because some contractually agreed to caps on vacation were lifted this year as per the contract we had with them, and they have no vacation smoothing or limits on who can take off. There were a couple of days that a lot of firefighters decided to all take off together and ran up the overtime expense for the fire department, and projections are they're going to be millions of dollars over budget by the end of the year. We're not to the end of the year yet, so we're just providing that information to council, but there are only a few ways that the fire department can get their budget back in balance, and among the ways that have been discussed is canceling classes. I'm not interested in canceling classes. We don't have enough paramedics today, and I have asked the department to go back to the drawing board. I want a better plan. None of the plans would be pleasant to implement, but I expect that the department they present a budget, we agree to a budget, they need to abide by the budget.
Mayor, you said we don't have enough paramedics today. How short are we? Where should we be compared to where we are right now?
I don't have a number of an optimum number of paramedics, but we are, and we've talked about this a lot, we are increasingly an ambulance service that also fights fires. We are organized as a fire service that also does ambulance runs. 80% of what we do or more is on the ambulance side, and paramedics are critical to that. And as we move into the future, we need to recognize that we need regular influx of new trained paramedics coming into the service, and just look at the workload of the department.
The mayor, just a question about Councilmember Gallegos talked about his work with fire dogs and things like that a little bit, and he was saying how there's some new council initiatives relating to animals and things that are coming down the pipeline. Can you elaborate on that a little bit?
We will be bringing a set of revisions to our animal ordinances to, I think it's the Public Safety Committee this month. And they will address responsible pet ownership, what the expectations are, what kind of licenses and so forth. But we've also been doing some things that are not on the regulatory side, but on the public awareness side. We did a pilot program in the near north side in Mayor Pro Tem Gonzalez's district, where we defined a neighborhood and we did an intense educational effort, provided free spay and neuterings and vaccinations, veterinary care, went back and did another round of education, did another round of free services, and we may have actually done it 3 times. And then we've gone back and surveyed, and from one of the highest areas with the highest number of stray dogs, it has gone down to one of the lowest. We're now taking that same program with tweaks over into District B, Councilmember Davis's area. He has another neighborhood that we've identified as one of the really bad stray dog problem neighborhoods. It is effective, it's clearly effective. We're learning how to streamline it, but it's also very labor intensive and very expensive to do it that way. It is a matter of people not knowing what responsible pet ownership is and getting past a dog owning culture here in Houston where people think that they shouldn't spay and neuter their pets. So we're doing both the education side and the regulatory side. And I've talked about this before, at some point we're going to have to go and be willing to really crack down on people and write tickets. And when you do that, council members sometimes begin to, they hear from the other folks in the neighborhood. I know they want safety, but they also don't want big brother going through their neighborhoods, and so we're trying to find a balance. But after we pass these new regulatory changes, we will have an obligation to enforce them.
Mayor, we've got, Scott, and with the
Oh,
land use.
just wanted to reiterate what you said about the game rooms before you left. About the game rooms. Very happy that we had a unanimous vote to pass the new game room ordinance. This is another example of the city and the county working closely together. I don't know why the state of Texas chose to give game room enforcement authority to counties and not to cities, but we quickly worked with the county, and now we can enforce through an MOU the county standards, and we think it'll give us a tool to shut down more game rooms. We're going to be aggressive about it.
Mayor, this just in. Would you support the legalization of medical marijuana?
I mean, this just in. It has nothing to do, it has nothing to do with the city of Houston.
And we're done.
It has nothing to do with it.